Today we're going to check out NECA's Ultimate Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Part 2. Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a good one. We recently opened Leatherface from my favorite all-time horror movie. Now we're going to open Jason Voorhees, who is from my favorite all-time horror franchise as a whole, Friday the 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th is my favorite franchise, more than Halloween, more than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, more than the Scream franchise. Yep, it's Friday the 13th. So, taking a look at this package. We have an awesome picture of a lady being grabbed by, I don't know if that's supposed to be Jason or if that's supposed to be his mother. It says the body count continues, Friday the 13th Part 2. You see the silhouette of the holding the axe, so it kind of looks like Part 1 a little bit's poster, but it is for Part 2. This side you get a picture of our hooded Jason Voorhees, a little bit of wood, looks like he's coming through maybe a window. It says Friday the 13th Part 2 there. NECA real toys here. This side the same exact thing. The back side, Friday the 13th Part 2. Mrs. Voorhees is dead and Camp Crystal Lake is shut down, but a camp next to the infamous place is stalked by an unknown assailant. And yes, that would be Jason Voorhees. Got a couple pictures there of our action figure. And yes, you do even get an extra head without his burlap sack on there. So really good picture down here of his mom with her sweater and kind of Jason's shrine to his mother. That was towards the end of this movie, Part 2. And this movie was released in 1981, just 1 year after the original Friday the 13th. This was directed by a guy named Steve Miner. I would call it a low budget again. It only had $1 million budget and ended up making $22 million. It was really good. This and Part 3, I kind of flip-flop back and forth of which one is my favorite Friday the 13th. Is it Part 2 or Part 3? I'm up and down. I would say right now it's probably Part 2, but ask me tomorrow, I might say it's Part 3. I love them both. Matter of fact, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4, I don't think any other franchise, period, can touch those 4 movies. There's not a lot of them out there. We'll open the flap. It's held together by our Velcro, and there you go. You get your picture of your action figure there. And we have our big window box with all our accessories in there looking good. So excited to get into this one. And we will take this one, I think, from the bottom this time. Because why not? Why the heck not? So we'll get our knife here. Better get my glasses on here. Make our cut. Now I like to get in here. You've seen me do all the time. I get in here and I pop that open like that so I don't rip the box. And why do I do that? Because I have ripped boxes before. And if you watch this channel, you know I keep all my boxes. Every single one of them. And come on. There he is. And here's our empty package. Nothing at all in there. Nothing at all. We'll set that box to the side. And here, we'll take this out. There is a little backdrop here. It would be good for posing your action figure. I think that would look really good. It's kind of a foresty look with a creepy looking tree. Yeah, you can put your figure in front of that, take some photographs. So that was in there. Now here's Jason in his plastic coffin with all his accessories. So we will start right there with getting these accessories out. And now these are not taped in. All right. So we will start with the accessories first. And the first one we got is an ice pick. And it does have a little bit of blood on there. Now this is good. Now I do remember in part 2, Jenny, the final girl in part 2, was being chased around by Jason with this ice pick. And he actually even got her with it. But it wasn't a kill shot, so she lived through it. But she did take a poke from this ice pick. Next, we have a big giant spear here. Very good. Now he did kill a couple people with this spear, which I believe was Sandra and Jeff. Yeah, they was out doing their thing, and this went through them, impaled by a spear. So that's our second weapon. Our third weapon will be a pitchfork. Now, I do not remember anybody being killed in part 2 by a pitchfork. Now, part 3 had a lot of pitchfork action in it, but I don't remember part 2. I'm not saying there wasn't, but I'm kind of trying to remember, and I don't remember that. So, pitchfork. Next, we get, and this is held in by this plastic cap, which is pretty nice, and it is knife. Yes, a big old butcher's knife. I think there's maybe somebody gets their throat slit by a butcher knife. I do know the sheriff. If you remember the sheriff, he got, too bad we don't get a claw hammer, because I remember him getting a claw hammer upside the head. The hook side, the claw side. Ooh, that would hurt. But yeah, butcher knife there. And last but not least, of course, you have to have, with Leatherface, you have to have a chainsaw. With Jason Voorhees, you have to have a bloody machete. That's right, bloody machete, which just does kill a few of them. If you remember Terry and Scott, Scott's the one that got trapped in the tree, and the rope brought him up, and he's hanging there, and she goes back to get a knife to cut him free. He stole all her clothes and stuff. But yeah, well, as she left, he was hanging there, and Jason come by and gave him the old what fur. All right, now we're getting into some good stuff here. There is a campfire. How awesome is that? We get a campfire. The wood seems to be stuck in there, so that's nice. You're not going to lose that wood, but awesome to have a campfire. Now, it would be really awesome if eventually we could get some of these teenagers that are counselors at Camp Crystal Lake, because we could set them around this and have Jason sneaking up on them. That would be awesome. And along with the campfire, you get fire. So we have fire pit, now we have fire. How great does that look? Man, that is awesome. You can sit in there any way you want. All right, next we get extra heads. And one extra head is not to go on the action figure. It is actually Pamela Voorhees' decapitated head, which Alice did that to her. And there's even some bone or gut, something hanging out of her neck right there. But yeah, and he had a shrine built up. If you remember his shack, when he ran to his shack and the sheriff was chasing him, and then the sheriff caught the, like I mentioned, the claw hammer. Yep, here is Pamela Voorhees' head. So that's not going to pop on the action figure, but this one will. Jason's maskless head. Now this is at the very end of the movie, after Jenny hits him right in the shoulder with a machete. That sucker goes in deep too. He really takes a shot from Jenny with this, and They think he's dead. Well, as they're leaving the house, of course, he jumps through the window and he does not have his mask on. And that's what you see just for a split second. Not very long. But yeah, Jason Voorhees, hoodless head. And now this is the one right here. We do have a tie here. I will cut this. It's one tie around his chest. Got my scissors right here. And you just got to cut one side. And that's a black tie. You don't see black ties very often. Usually they're clear. These scissors out of the way. And how are we going to get Jason out of here? Now you see the way he's in there? His feet are tucked away behind this plastic. And his hands are tucked away behind that plastic. So it looks like we're going to have to pull him from the head maybe to get him out of there. So we'll try to pop him out. Kind of up and out. And there he is. There's our empty coffin. Jason Voorhees is resurrected. And here he is. Look at that. All right, in the package, this looks awesome. Very, very awesome. In my hand, this looks even better. Let's roll through articulation real quick first. Head, absolutely no movement on this head, which is unfortunate. It will slightly turn left and right. Actually, it'll turn all the way around, and it will be removable. There you can see that joint right there. So that does move, but with this head on, it's not going to move. Let's see if we pop this head on. And didn't want to go on very much. Okay, with this one, we're looking down slightly and not up, but left and right slightly. So not a lot of movement on that head at all. Matter of fact, none other than left and right with this hooded burlap sack head. All right, shoulders, single butterfly in there. They will go all the way around. They will rotate. Also, they have a single jointed elbow. It does not get a lot of movement, but a little bit, and that also will go all the way around. We have wrists that, let's see, they're going up and back, but not a lot. So they will go up and down and a little bit. Yeah, so they're pretty good. There actually is pretty good wrist movement there. Huh. Let's see, we have a hula hoop waist, and it will go around, but we do have these coveralls on. Now, these coveralls are not sculpted on, so that is very awesome. So if you do decide to twist this waist around, be careful not to break your suspenders here on your coveralls, because that wouldn't be very good. Next, we got splits. Look at the splits Voorhees can do. And his front leg goes way up. Back leg is way back. Very good. Very good. Splits and straddles for Jason Voorhees. We have a single jointed knee. And that will rotate all the way around there. So that's a lot of movement there. And our ankle is on a slight rocker. Can he pirouette? Nope, not with that big pant cuff there. He's not going to be able to do it, but it will go down slightly. But it does go left and right, so decent articulation on this NECA Ultimate, which I will say that this was produced, brought out, released in 2018. So it does have some years on it, but I'm telling you now, this looks awesome. The details are great, so that's what we'll talk about now. The head sculpt, so creepy looking. If you've never seen Friday the 13th Part 2, I highly recommend it. Most people like the hockey mask, and I do enjoy the hockey mask. But this sack over the head with the rope tied around, there's something so creepy and sinister about it. I totally like it. You just one eye hole too. One eye hole, that's all Jason got to see. And just so creepy. I mean, looking at this, it looks creepy. The blue flannel shirt, the suspenders. Now, he was portrayed by a guy named Warrington Gillette, who is still alive. So if you have this action figure, and I don't know if he does these horror cons or not, but if he does, that would be a nice autograph to have on this action figure right here. But yeah, so the suspenders go all the way down. The coveralls go all the way down, rather. Great detail in there, front and back. He's even got a dirty behind where he's been sitting in the mud. You can see there. That looks good. Look at the wrinkles in the pants and around the boots. He has the black, I think they're work boots, it looks like. So really good. He does have 2 gripping hands, and one of them even has a little blood on them there, you can see. So that's even awesome. Everything about this I love. Jason Voorhees, so awesome. Now, let's see what he can do with this ice pick. Now, like I mentioned, he chased Jenny around with this ice pick and was getting ready to give her the business. And he did actually hit her one time, if I remember right. So that's why you have blood on there. But yeah, he gave her the business with that one time, but then he caught that machete right here. And I mean, it was brutal shot. And it would have been nice to have a little notch in here that could receive this machete, because I mean, she buried that thing in him. I'm trying to see. There is no place for it, but man, that would be awesome. See if I can get it. There we go. That's kind of in there. Don't look very good, but man, she got that thing in there deep, and she thought he was dead. He dropped the pickaxe. Now let's get his machete in his hand. Like I said, if you're going to have a Jason Voorhees figure, gotta have a machete. Now this machete, it does, I'm not sure, I guess it would work that way. If not, they got the blood on the wrong side of that thing. I would think it works this way, but I guess maybe it's working that way. But let's put it in his hand the way I think it would go, which is that way. So awesome. Got his machete. Now we can get him, how about the butcher knife in the other hand? Machete and butcher knife, check that out. Let's see how he stands. Does he stand very well? He's got these work boots on. And there he goes. He's standing up. But man, how awesome is this? Now, let's try to get the big spear in his hand. Now, he would double hand this. Run this through a couple of those teenagers. So those teenagers went to Camp Crystal Lake to take counselor training how to be counselors. And Paul, who was the head counselor, I guess the teacher, was, so yeah, telling the story about how Jason drowned in Camp Crystal Lake. But now, according to Paul's story, he did not drown, and he's out in the woods, and you gotta watch out and be careful, because Jason might just get you. Now, of course, all the teenagers, the counselors in training, laugh it off until one by one, of course, start getting killed by one Jason Voorhees. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of the movie, but very, very, very good movie in my opinion, especially for a low budget. It's got good special effects. That looks a lot like the special effects of that mask on Friday the 13th Part 2. Looks really, really good. So happy to have this, and man, I am going to put this right up there with my Leatherface action figure, incorporated into our backdrop there, and we'll see who we do next. But for Jason Voorhees, until next time,